Thanks, Mr. Petrie. You're going my hairstyle. Don't have to relax, please. Hi.
White House, we'll sure get around. He talks up everywhere and tells us what's what. A movie star, signal star, it's hotter than hot. Willamania, from Cal to Pennsylvania. Willamania, Willamania. Spread your skull, twin your voice, set your goal for people's choice. Ready stage, ready wage, who makes us better? It's Willamania. It's our will.
Never met a man I didn't like. Highfalutin gents, oh, Bowery bum. Yes, I've come along way down the pike. Never met a man I didn't like. Howdy. Well, that was some introduction. That's Minister Ziegfeld's out here. How to start a show. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all coming out here for Friday night, because Friday night's my favorite show of the week. No, I did not say that yesterday. No, sir, yesterday I said Thursday night was my favorite show. Now, most of you, I know, when you hear the name Will Rogers, you just automatically reach for your pockets. In fact, I bet half of you are expecting those ushers to come down the aisles and pass down those little pens to collect your loose change for the Will Rogers Hospital and Institute. Well, that money does a whole lot of good if you can relax. You won't be doing that tonight. Mainly on account of we took most of your money when you bought your tickets. Can you believe the price of theater tickets these days? Heck, when I saw what they were asking for this show, I thought they were still looking for investors. Which means we owe you something for it, which means I better get to work. See y'all. Don't go far now. Thank you. You know, this little act with the rope is the same one I've been annoying audiences with close to all my life. And Mr. Ziegfeld, too. He only put up with it to kill time while his girls were changing from nothing into nothing. Anyway, I was kind of surprised when I had heard from Mr. Florence Ziegfeld after all these years, and even more surprised when he suggested it was time to do another one of his Follies. Especially since the last one he produced personally was over 60 years ago, in 1931. But Mr. Ziegfeld said not to worry about the order of things because his idea of my life was a whole lot more theatrical than the way I actually lived it. And that he'd be able to set us straight from time to time because he'd be looking down. Well, not from heaven, and I'd be mighty surprised if he ended up anywhere in that particular vicinity. Well, he meant for the lot group, which is way up there. That's right, way up there where you folks are sitting. You can look in down through the glass panel and see how his show's moving along. So I guess I better move it along. Oh, before I forget, I want to introduce y'all to a very famous person, America's greatest aviator and a fellow Oklahoman, Mr. Wiley Coast. Get out of here, Wiley. Let's go flying, Will. Wiley's the first fellow in history to fly solo around the world. He did it in just under 8 days. Heck, nowadays, you can almost send a letter clear across town in that amount of time. You're doing just fine, folks. We'll get you out of here early tonight. Takes you twice as long when you gotta explain the jokes. Great seeing you, Wiley. All right, now, let's try this on for size. Believe it or not, there are some people that say that this ain't respectable work. My pa hasn't been one of them. There's nothing wrong with slinging a rope, as long as your neck's not in it. As a kid, I tied some knots. I learned to make a loop, spun it horizontal to the ground, practiced lassoing the fence posts Almost anything I found. I even wrote my sisters if they dared to come around. This pastime was my solitary skill. And people ask, what will become of Will? So I told them, give a man enough rope. Give a man enough rope. And he can hang himself or not. That is the choice that he's got. He could wind up hanging down from a tree. Or he could spin himself alive. That's what happened to me. Give a man enough rope.
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 You hand two guys a pile of dough. One spends it fast, one saves it slow. You make a choice. Up to you what you do. This act ain't much but throwing out kings and queens, and I got to meet you. Everybody spins with a different twist. I mean, double twist and just a little twist. If you want to wait for a breaking, oh, go for broke, just let her go. Never let them see that there is effort there. You may squint inside, but be debonair. If you go for tears or you go for jokes, shrug it off, it's nothing, folks. Give a man enough rope.
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 It's good to set your sights up high, but don't expect pie in the sky. A guy might rush for that old pot of gold. He may not reach the rainbow end because my friend, the world is round, so we are told.
So we are told. A guy could choose to run a bank. Another lives to tell the story. One practice law violin.
Or maybe sell banana oil.
Banana oil. One builds a barn, one writes a song. One digs a ditch, one teaches.
But from the day I've come along, yeah, I've always been a roping fool.
He's just a roping fool.
Give a man enough rope. Give a man enough rope. And he can get all tangled in the figure eight he tries to spin. But I've had love, and my rope made me free. I spun my fancy figures, wrote my column, made my speeches, bought my horses, bought my family, spun a lovely line. That's what happened to me.
Give a man enough rope.
Here's today's New York Times, Mr. Rogers.
And it's you. She does wonders for the circulations of the Times. Well, like I always say, all I know is what I read in the paper. Now, it's a fact that the New York Times is the only paper in New York that has writing to go with its pictures. My pa always liked the Times on account of they never used to clutter up his mind with 2 points of view. April 24th, 1999. Officer conducting unleashes passions. 4 officers in Diallo shooting plead not guilty of murder. Bronx prosecutors bring highest possible charges. Maybe it gets funnier on the inside. Cold weather chills tourist trade in Nice, France. You know why the French call that town Nice? they don't have a word for nice. Long Island housewife shoots husband. Whew! That's the third one in the past week. Season must have opened a month early this year. You know, it's a funny thing, but some of these items I'm talking about are the exact same things I used to speak about 60, 70 years ago. So maybe some of the stuff I said back then might make a little bit of sense today. Let's find out. Anybody got a 60-year-old paper back there? Thank you. August 17, 1935. Will Rogers and Wiley Post dying in airplane crash in Alaska.
Let's go flying, Will.
Wiley's still the greatest flyer in history if you don't count that one time. Can you make that a 70-year-old newspaper?
Here's your 70-year-old newspaper, Mr. Rogers.
Why, thank you. February 22nd, 1921. New Yugoslav Republic torn by ethnic strife. Anti-cigarette legislation pending in 42 states. President accused of philandering. You sure this is an old paper? You got a funny feeling. They've been stealing money by putting out the same newspaper every day for 70 years. President vows to trim excess fat in government. Our new president could do that real quick just by staying away from McDonald's. You know, I tried to tell the president all the latest political jokes, but it was too late. He'd already gone and appointed them. Another filibuster paralyzes Congress. They love to talk. You know, the other day a congressman actually stood up and objected to a certain Oklahoma comedian poking fun at him. But the thing with my jokes is, they don't hurt anybody. But with Congress, every time they make a joke, it's a law. And every time they make a law, it's a joke. SNL Vice President robbed. I thought there was an understanding that crooks didn't rob crooks. You folks want to talk that one over amongst yourselves? All right, now. I don't know what Ben's do with all those vice presidents they got. The United States only has one, and we haven't found anything for him to do. Thank God. Okay, now, this is the part of the show where Mr. Ziegfeld wants me to introduce someone very... What?
Stop!
How much time they need?
A minute?
A minute. All right. Mama told me there'd be days like this. There'd be days like this, my mama said. Now, this is the part of the show where Mr. Ziegfeld wants me to do some road tricks. Now, I'm sure all you heard about Will Rogers this, Will Rogers that with the road tricks, but I've been dead for quite some time, folks, and way up in heaven, we don't do road tricks that often. So, I'm going to try the basic one now. This here is called the lair trick. I like to bend over like this, just give it a nice little twist, hang it out like that. Woo-hoo! Now, try this on the other side now. It's not my good side, but what you gonna do? Not as good as my baby. All right, now. Now, this is the part of the show where Mr. Ziegfeld wants me to introduce someone very important to y'all. Important on account of without him, I wouldn't be here today, and that's my pa, Mr. Clement B. Rogers. First, I gotta set the scene. That's our beautiful ranch house down in Oklahoma, and those are my 6 beautiful sisters. And the date is Tuesday, November 4th, 1879. The reason I remember it so good is that's the day I was born.
Hooray, at last it's a boy, hey, I got me a boy, step right up, it's a boy, I got a son and an heir, what else can compare, I haven't a care, ain't a lie. And look what I got, I'm passing out Havanas, yippee-yi-yay. He'll keep the shine on the family name, yippee-yi-yay. His pa's are ranchers and he'll do the same, with cattle grazing out yonder for miles around. That's why I'm handing the smokes and the smiles around. Hooray, 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 at last it's a male, and his powerful wail says he's hardy as hell, and he'll be strong as can be when he knows that he is part Cherokee like his pa. My hopes no longer are slim, I'm way out on a limb, hopes are riding on him, and he'll grow up to be a hell of a man. I looked up to man, a hell of a man like yours truly. Hooray, hooray, hooray for my lucky star. Have a cigar, I'm jumping for joy. At last it's a boy, I got this right. At last it's a boy.
I've got some bad news for you.
Lord, son, don't tell me you were expelled from school again. You gotta get an education, boy, so you don't wind up in Congress. Willie, I sent you to 6 schools in the past 7 years. You haven't even made it past 5th grade.
Well, the other kids keep making fun of me, Paul. They call me a redskin.
You're not a redskin, Willie. You're an Indian. Our ancestors didn't come over on the Mayflower. Heck, we met the boat. Just remember one thing. I'm 3/8 Cherokee and your mom's 1/4.
Well, I guess if I ever finish the 5th grade, I know exactly how much Cherokee that made me.
I want you to be proud of your Indian blood, son. Now that you're 19 years old, what are you going to do with your life?
I've made up my mind, Paul. I'm going to the Argentine to be a cowboy.
The Argentine? I always counted on you staying here and running the ranch.
It's not in me to run anything, Pa. Why can't I just do with my life what I want?
I reckon you will, son, but I wouldn't be a good father if I didn't try to make it as difficult as possible. Stop twirling that darn rope while I'm talking to you. When your ma died, I promised I'd raise you proper. I'm getting ready to admit defeat. Sometimes I think the only reason for your birth was to give me something curious to look at in my old age. You're staying here, and that's final.
Sorry, Pa. I'm going to Argentina.
And I say you're staying here and running this ranch.
Hate to tell you this, Pa, but I can't think of any way in the world you're going to stop me.
Me neither. All right, Willie, you go to Argentina. I'd like to tell you something. When you've ruined your life and you're down and out, without a friend in the world or a dollar in your name, I want you to remember this piece of fatherly advice. I told you so. Now get the hell out of here while I'm still in a good mood. All I can say is, a man's a fool if he thinks his son's gonna come anywhere near living up to his father's dreams for him. Hooray, hooray, some dirty work has been done. He can't be the real one, can't be Clem Rogers' son. He says he don't want a ranch, he's some rotten French. Must be part Comanche for sure. To Argentina he'll steam, what a crackpot scheme, it's the end of my dream. And he will never be that hell of a man, I looked up to man, a hell of a man like yours truly. But what the hey, I still got my girl. 6 million curls, I'm jumping for joy. Goodbye, Willie boy. And don't look for money. Goodbye, Willie
Well, I'm sure my Pa did everything in the world for me and tried to make more out of me than I am. But how come I'm out to something is always somebody else's idea of what you should do with your life? You know, it's a funny thing, but the minute a man becomes a father, it's like he forgets everything he ever knew about being a son. So long, Pa, I'm on my way to see the world so big and wide. I may find something to do, find the guy who's here inside. So long, Pa, I'm off today. I hope before my journey ends, I'll learn to do a trick or two, so you can brag to all your friends. So I'm off to Argentina, because there's a whole lot of people out there. Even back then, I knew I wanted to meet as many as my time on earth would allow, because people are what this life is all about.
Just a moment, Mr. Rogers.
Yes, Mr. Ziegfeld!
Mr. Rogers, forgive me for interrupting, but you've been out there for 2 scenes and we still haven't met the girl? As you should know, in a Ziegfeld production, the romance never starts later than the 3rd scene.
I told you folks this would happen. I know it sounds kind of bossy, but you gotta remember what it was like to grow up in the south side of Chicago with a first name like Florence. Well, come to think of it, Mr. Ziegfeld, I did meet Betty Blake before I went away. It was at the railroad station. Betty was the prettiest, sweetest girl in the whole territory. She was working in the freight office, and I was expecting some new long underwear from back east for my trip to Argentina. The guy with the trap door in the back.
How very romantic. And where was this enchanted railroad station?
Oolaga, Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely not, Mr. Rogers. In a Ziegfeld show, nothing ever happens in Oolaga. Stage manager, please!
Yes, Mr. Z?
Peter, have we got a set back there we can use? Something exotic, something Ziegfeldian.
Well, we've got that Fiji Island set, Mr. Z.
Fiji Islands? Come on, Mr. Ziegfeld, you might as well say I met my wife on the moon.
Brilliant, Mr. Rogers! You met your wife on the moon. Peter, go set up the moon immediately. Well, don't just stand there, Mr. Rogers. You're going to meet your wife ready on the moon.
Yes, sir.
Here I am, Betty Blake, a simple farm girl from Arkansas, who stayed with my favorite single sister, because I landed a really swell job in the freight office of the Missouri Pacific Railroad, here on the moon. But despite all those stories about the man in the moon, I haven't met him yet.
Sing, Miss Blake.
I beg your pardon?
We've had quite enough exposition, Miss Blake. Sing, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ziegfeld. How small the earth seems, poor little planet, viewing it from a distance. Light years away, way off in a starlit place. Here I sit mooning on the moon, mooning, questioning my existence. Just a tiny speck
Did I happen to mention that I'm expecting a new suit of long underwear that's coming in on the 5 o'clock rocket?
So far, you didn't happen to mention anything at all.
Well, that's because I'm painfully shy. Once I let an entire barn burn down because I was too shy to yell, fire!
By any chance, are you that shiftless Rogers boy I've heard so much about? Who lives at a ranch a few miles out, and who spends most of your time spinning a rope? So how can you possibly amount to anything?
I guess so.
Glad to meet you. I'm Betty Blake, a simple farm girl from Arkansas, who stayed with my favorite single sister here on...
Oh, did you say single sister? Well, I've got a single sister, too. 6 of them, in fact.
6 single sisters? Gosh, that's hard to say. Well, you probably won't believe this, but I've got 6 single sisters myself.
Did you hear that, folks? 6 single sisters each. It's hard to imagine 2 people having anything more in common than that. We'll skip the next couple lines as they didn't add up to much and get right to the good part. Gosh, you're nice, Miss Blake. In fact, you look like the kind of girl who only shows up once in a blue moon. Earth.
Thank you. And you seem like a pretty down-to-moon person yourself.
Well, I'd sure like to hear you sing sometime.
Why, Will Rogers, how did you know I can sing?
Because in a Ziegfeld show, everybody who's dressed can sing. So how about it?
You mean sing right now?
No, I meant, how about my long underwear? Has it come in yet?
Oh, well, the 5 o'clock ought to be arriving any minute now. Hello there! Hello, Mr. Engineer. How was the trip? Not too bad. Lost a little time chugging around the Big Dipper, but I made it up along the Milky Way. Oh, I've got this package addressed to that shiftless Rogers boy who lives at a ranch a few miles out. Feels like long underwear. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. So long, honey. Gotta blast off. See you tonight here, so all aboard! Your long underwear arrived, Will Rogers.
Oh, boy, that's great. I can't wait to try them on.
I've got a better idea. Why don't we go for a long walk out to the edge of the Sea of Tranquility? I hear there's going to be a full Earth tonight.
Oh, gee, Betty Blake, that sounds wonderful. I'd just love to. As soon as I get back from Argentina.
Argentina?
Well, that's where I decided to seek my fortune. When you get back, if you're still single like your 6 sisters, I'd love to take that walk with you. I'll only be gone a year. So long, Betty Blake. I promise to write you.
Adios. Adios very much. Mist is lifting, a change hovers in the air. A sea change, a sky change, I feel that it's almost there. My journey's end. Lover, friend, my shiftless someone in Argentina.
So he didn't want to finish his education. So he didn't want to be a rancher. And he deserted me when I needed him most. But did he have to turn me into the grouchy old grump of this show? This roll of clam is all frustration mixed with rage. Unsympathetic roles will sink you on a stage. So stick with me until my warmth comes shining through. I don't get lovable till somewhere in Act 2.
I've been asked to deliver a postcard to Miss Betty Blake. Miss Betty Blake, there's a postcard for you from Will Rogers. Thank you. Dear Blake, here Australia and New Zealand. So if you're counting the days like I am, the exact number is 642. 642? Will Rogers, I am not wasting my youth on some shiftless, uneducated, rope-throwing, no-account Cherokee show business cowboy. No, sir, not this simple farm girl from Arkansas. Excuse me, honey, you want those 642 days to pass just like that? Well, of course. Then just leave it up to me. Here, take this. Ladies and gentlemen, don't just stand there, honey. Go make your change. Ladies and gentlemen, by special arrangement with Mr. Ziegfeld, the pussycat, it is now 642 days later, and the St. Louis World's Fair of 1904 presents, inside and in person, genuine cowboys and Indians displaying their incredible skill and mastery of the untamed Broncos and Mustangs of the great American prairie. Direct from their triumphal world tour, Texas Jack Bullhawk Spectacular! Wow! Big Show!
Rogers. Perhaps we can get this business settled once and for all.
Well, hello, girls.
Hi,
If I didn't know any better, I'd swear those were my 6 single sisters. Oh, Betty Blake, is it really you? When I saw you sitting in the audience, I nearly fell off my horse. I did, it hurt. But what'd you think of the show?
That was just about the most disgusting spectacle I have ever witnessed.
Betty, you talk about my roping act?
No, your act was wonderful. What did you have to do with all those people watching?
Hey, now you're talking about the audience?
To stand up there in front of total strangers. Will Rogers, where's your shame?
Now, folks, how could you not love a person like that? So I explained to her that I couldn't make a living from only doing the act in front of my friends and family. After engaging in a little small talk that was too snappy to repeat here, we found ourselves looking down on St. Louis from the Ferris wheel.
Will, look. You can see all the way to Illinois.
Yeah. So I guess you probably had your share of fellas while I was gone.
There were a few, but only one that you had to worry about.
Well, yeah, who's that?
Ben Hardy. He's a promising lawyer.
Well, yeah, what all did he promise you?
A life that has nothing whatsoever to do with the show business.
Now, hold on. What's so damn blame wrong with what I do? I'm happy when I'm out there in front of people. And I know I'm making them happy. So don't go all getting your hopes up about reforming me, because when you marry me, you're going to get exactly what you saw under that tent tonight, including the audience and nothing more.
Will Rogers, whoever said anything about marrying you?
I guess I didn't. Well, is it a deal or not?
It's a deal.
Oh? Hey. Let's shake on it. It's gonna happen soon. Our hearts are intending to reach the happy ending and starting on the moon. Betty and me are kind of old-fashioned. With us, it preceded the act. Isn't that right, honey?
Will Rogers! They can hear you!
Move along, Mr. Rogers. What happened next?
Next? After we were married, you mean? Sure, sorry, folks, but don't worry. We'll be seeing y'all later at the end of the act. Let me see. What happened next? Well, after I kissed the bride, when the organ was playing, oh, promise me, I went and promised her.
Oh, Will, do you really mean it? Are you really through playing all those dreadful Wild West shows?
Oh, sure am.
Oh, thank you, Will.
From now on, it's strictly vaudeville.
Vaudeville?
Come on, Blake. You're gonna have the time of your life. Hand in hand we will cross the land from the west coast way up to Maine. Boarding train after train, see the nation, a long vacation. What's to fear, we're together here, but my dear, before we can go, vaudeville has traditions my young one ought to know. There's the small time and the medium time and the big time and the medium small time.
Small time and a medium time and a big time.
And here one is small time, big time, looks down on medium time.
Looks down on small time.
Looks down on accordion player, small time.
Big time.
Big, small, medium time. I'm the one from Memphis, Dallas, hoping that would play the palace. From you are a great review with a big time star in my door. I can hear the crowd roar. Spotlight moonlight hits me, the spotlight fits me. When you touch me and when you hold me, my name lights up the marquee. Just to know that you love me is the big time for me. I'll see you later, Blake. I gotta go do the third show. I'll meet you later at the Mexican restaurant.
Break a neck.
Blake?
Leg. Right. There's a small time and a medium time and a big time and a medium small time. Packing, unpacking, and packing. We're off to Altoona tomorrow. Goodbye, Altoona. Cooking, scrubbing, washing, ironing. Mrs. Bridges speaking to me. Words when I'm older than me. Titles from me. Make my senses swim. I get big time feelings inside. An ignorant bride. Now I'm knowing and all glory. When he holds me and when he loves me, we're close as lovers can be. On the circuit together, life is joyous and free. Thank goodness we have no family. There's only Will and me. I'm Mary Rogers. Howdy! I'm Dave Rogers. Howdy! Well, here comes Freddie. We're glad our dad's in vaudeville. And we got fun. 'Cause we get down in anything. Not just in one. Before we're bored with kids we meet, we gotta run. There's no mean old school superintendent outing us 'cause we're independent. At night our mommy reads to us and gives us bread. Then we sneak to the music, watch Teddy play. Stretch your scope, tilt your head, make the people play. Folks ask us what we wanna be. When we grow up, we're gonna be just like yeah.
Time no more medium, small time, up, up, flying up, up, no more small time, mercy, morning, up, I'm feeling it, snacking, let's get cracking, where your boots are gonna rain, to your home we're gonna sing, smiles from us are a family, us we're together, getting along, sometimes weak, sometimes strong, sad or happy, or mad or scrappy, nothing's easy and nothing's perfect. We still complain and we fuss, but long as we stay together, it's the big time for us. Rogers and Rogers and Rogers, 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 Rogers. It's the big time for us.
You riding the wagon, Pop? Can we ride in the wagon?
Well, if Grandpa Clem don't mind, I sure don't.
Yeah! Will, I wanted them to do their homework now, so that somebody in this family can get past the 5th grade.
Come on, Blake, they've been all over the country. Think of the geography lesson they're getting. Have you folks ever started to notice that I always call my wife Blake when I'm in trouble? So I started calling her Blake all the time in case I was in trouble and didn't know it.
Will, we have to talk. How do we make it go, Pop?
And just tell her giddy up and hold on.
Giddy up!
What was it you were saying, Blake?
Talk?
The beautiful Ellinger that Oklahoma philosopher, Will Rogers.
Sorry, Blake, I got a show to do. I'll see you later. Bye.
But Will, we have to talk. When I was very young, I had the perfect life. My pa, the perfect husband, and my mom, the perfect wife. And every day my life went by so perfectly. I made a perfect plan. I dreamed some perfect dreams. And now I look around, my dreams are splitting at the seams. I made one big decision, and now look at me. When I do something wrong, I do it perfectly. My big mistake, broken ring. I got my wish, now I can't win. I thought once I caught you, you'd quit your roaming. Now I'm the one who's caught in a world I'm not at home. My big mistake, thinking you could change. Fancy goodbye, home on the range. 'Cause I like days all carefully reckoned. You live life from second to second. Yet just touch me, and there's no other choice I make. I love my big mistake. Telephone call to Betty Blake. There's a telephone call from Miss Betty Blake. Oh, it's you again, little Miss Understudy. Well, you can relax. I'm feeling just fine. Oh, and by the way, the name's Rogers now. Betty Rogers. I'm married. Well, Mr. Ziegfeld says the wedding always ends the act. I know. Don't tell him, but we saw a justice of the peace in Buffalo 7 years ago. You won't tell Mr. Ziegfeld, will you? Don't worry, honey. Your secret's safe with me. Nice. Hello. Zulek, is that you? How are you and the other girls? Still single? How's my life? It's great, of course, just great. You should see the deluxe hotels we stay at, and the fancy restaurants we eat in here. In wherever we are. The children? Oh, they love it too, of course. Almost as much as I do. When are we coming home? I'm not sure, Zalecky. When you're having the time of your life like we are, it's pretty hard to tear yourself away. I love you too. Tell the girls I miss them. Bye. I like days all carefully reckoned. You live life from second to second.
Wait.
Will, I didn't see you.
I was thinking about it during the show tonight. How long have you been at this whole thing? 7 years? Well, maybe my pa was right. I mean, maybe I should have stayed in Oklahoma.
Will, are you serious?
Of course I'm serious, Blake. Let's face it, where I'm going is nowhere, and Oklahoma's as good as nowhere any day.
But you're top of the bill now.
Top of the bill in Cedar Rapids. Still earning only $100 a week. Maybe a man has a right to go on kidding himself, not when he's got a wife and family.
Will.
I don't care how much you love the life, Blake. I've made up my mind. We're going home, to Oklahoma. Now, what was it you wanted to talk to me about?
Will, I love you so much. But are you really sure?
Of course I am. I mean, let's face it, if my big break was going to come along, it would have been here by now.
Telegram from Mr. Rogers. There's a telegram from Mr. Will Rogers. Are you Will Rogers? That roping fool.
No, as of right now, I'm Mr. Will Rogers, thank you.
Mr. Will Rogers, Fox Fair, Cedar Rapids, Rhode Dear Mr. Rogers, pleased to invite you to the 9th edition of my Follies, starring W.C. Fields, Betty Van and Ed Reed, son, and offer you a salary of $600 a week. Stop. Expecting an immediate and affirmative reply. Most sincerely,
just another booking. Well, go pack up and collect the kids while I give notice. You can be back on the ranch by Sunday night.
Oh, Will, you'll never regret this. I mean, it's not as though you were giving up a really big opportunity or anything like that. I mean, giving up a 5-a-day in Cedar Rapids is not like turning down, say, the Ziegfeld Follies. You can't expect anyone in his right mind to turn down the Follies. But why talk about that? I mean, when his right mind would offer you the Follies.
Well, you're being a great sport, Blake. I mean, I'm not even sure those New York folks will put up with my little act with the rope.
It's not a little act anymore, Bill. Not since that day back in Milwaukee when you got all tangled up in the Texas skip and you ad-libbed that line. Heck, folks, it looks like I got all my feet through but one.
Get out of here.
You're a talker now, Bill. Mr. Ziegfeld doesn't pay $600 a week for a few road trips. And you give them a new show every night. All I know is what I read in the papers. There's not another act like yours anywhere on the circuit, Will. And that's why we're asking for $700.
Oh, Blake, I love you so much.
And there's no other choice I
Well, hello, girls.
Hello, Will.
Don't get cold now. You know, Mr. Ziegfeld spends millions of dollars every year on costumes, so I just don't understand why he doesn't let the girls wear them. Well, I'd like to thank you for all coming out here on my anniversary. This marks my 2,500th consecutive performance at the Follies in New York City. Now, a whole lot has happened in the past 6 years. The world lost a few important men. Teddy Roosevelt died, Tsar Nicholas of Russia, and my pa, Mr. Clem Ryan. Now, it might surprise you all to know, but the three of them shared something in common. That's right, none of them ever caught my act. Now, I've got a special announcement to make. This year's my final appearance in the Follies. Tomorrow I'm off to Hollywood, California to be a screen actor. That's what I said. Not only that, I'll be heading out there by aeroplane.
Be careful, Will.
Well, I won't actually be doing the flying. I'll leave the flying to those folks who know how, like Wally Post.
Let's go fly, Will.
Hey, Wiley, how come you're always here?
I'm waiting for you, Willie.
up to Alaska. No, Wiley, that don't come till the end of the show. Never met a fella so anxious to break his own neck. Mine too. So like I said, I'm off to Hollywood, California. My only regret is that my pa didn't live long enough to see me up there on the silver screen. He never would have approved of it, though, the way he always used to say, an actor's ego is the only thing in the world that keeps on growing without any nourishment. Another thing I thought I'd try my hand at is a new device we've got called a radio.
That'll be an improvement. At least I won't be able to see you.
Paul, what are you doing here? I just told him you died. You've been dead for 6 years.
I sold some of your jokes, but they're still hanging around.
Where'd you get your wings? From wardrobe?
Heck no. These puppies are real.
Do they work?
No, I walked in here, didn't I?
I was just telling the folks what a shame it was that you never lived to see my success.
Success? What success?
You know what I do, Paul. I'm the star of this show.
Not as far as I'm concerned. Hello, ladies.
Hello, Uncle Clem.
Forget it, Paul, you're dead?
Yeah, they're not. What is it you were saying, Willie?
I'm off to Hollywood, California to be a screen actor.
You? I may be dead, Sonny, but I'm not blind. You sure ain't much to look at.
Well, I figured that's half your fault. Anyway, instead of running me down like this, you ought to be proud.
Proud?
That's right, Paul. I'll make people laugh. Just ask the audience. They like what I do.
What do they know? They laughed at that Wild West show. Listen to me, Willie.
Mr. Rogers!
Yes, he means me, Paul.
Mr. Rogers! What is going on down there? I'm paying you to do a show!
Yes, sir. I gotta get back to work, Paul.
Listen to me, Willie. I know you didn't want to be a rancher, but if it wasn't in you, you could have been a doctor or an inventor. Somebody who makes a difference, who changes the world. Because that's what greatness is. Someone who leaves the world different from the way they found it.
You know, it's great to be great, Paul, but it's greater to be human.
Well, do you want to be great, son?
No man's great if he thinks he is.
Who said that?
I
Yeah, that's not so bad. What's going on?
do. That sounds like a witch. That must be the end of Act 1. You better go and make your change now, Paul.
All right, Willie. Goodbye, lady.
Goodbye, Uncle Clem.
Ooh, but just remember one thing, son. Life isn't as long as you think it is. You want to have something to look back on. Something we can both be proud of. Take it from me. Life isn't as long as you think it is. Take it from me.
Woody. Lady, you look beautiful. We're heading for a wedding. That's wedding number 2. I loved it the first time. How could this be a worse time as long as it's with you? Marry me now, marry me then. I don't care how, or where, why, or when. Anytime you ask me, I'll rush to the altar. Won't even falter. A thousand times. Ask me this fall. Ask me next spring. Can't get enough of such a good thing. Make my life a honeymoon heaven for two. And all my days and my nights
But let's just steal a kiss now, as if we didn't know.
Dear living beloved, we are gathered in this hallowed hall to unite two people in holy war. I'm playing this part under protest, Sonny. Mr. Ziegfeld is too stingy to pay for another actor. Do you, Betty Blake, take this no account to be your lawfully wedded husband, even though some fools think he's going to be America's biggest star, which means he'll be so famous that he won't be spending very much time at home? Richer, poorer, better, or worse?
I do.
And do you, William Penn Adair Rogers, take this saintly woman to be your wife, even though she'll never quit trying to stop you from flying to Alaska with Wiley Post, till death do you part? Yet, then with the power vested in me by Mr. Ziegfeld, cheapskate, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You can kiss the bride now, Sonny.
Will they cry there or say a lie there?
I can tell, the only good thing that comes from smoking is that it keeps mosquitoes away, which is proof positive that mosquitoes are a whole lot smarter than humans. Anyway, a lot happened while you ladies were out there standing in line. We had 3 different presidents, Mr. Harding, Mr. Coolidge, and Mr. Hoover. All 3 of them Republicans. But the Democrats don't have to worry, though. History has shown that people can only stand Democrats or Republicans for 12 years at a time. And then we had that monkey trial down in Tennessee to prove that man was descended from apes. I never believed that, though. I never yet met an ape that was devious, heartless, or greedy. I always figured that man was descended from lawyers. Anyway, like I always say, all I know is what I read in the papers. And lately, they've been starting to use a new word, ecology, which means, as far as I can tell, our land. You know, the pioneers went and cut down every tree in sight, but never did plant one. They plowed up all the land that should have been left to grass, the way God intended. Now, they thought it was land they were living off, but what they were really living off was future generations. The thing with land is, they're just not making this stuff anymore. Look around the world's a lovely sight, lovely sky and sea, well it used to be. Look around, the world is shining bright, watch the green grass grow, well it once was so. Where's the spring that loved the rain? Where's the grove down Lover's Lane? Look around, they vanish overnight. Where's the lovely world I used to see? The view near to the horizon. Look around, they vanish overnight. And when I recall what used to be, I'm weeping like a weeping willow tree. Just look around, you'll see a memory. Anyway, now that I've gotten that off my chest, I bet you folks are just dying to know how it was that I came to run for the President of these United States. Well, it was in the spring of 1928 when this really distinguished fella came up to me at the Astor Hotel in New York City.
Mr. Rogers, have you ever thought about running for President of the United States?
That's the fella. No, I swear everything you're about to hear is the gospel truth. So help me, Dick fella.
Mr. Rogers, now that you're back on top as #1 box office star, stage, screen, radio, and newspaper, wouldn't you like to try for president?
I don't know. Politics is the only branch of show business I ain't tried yet.
The country needs you, Mr. Rogers.
Well, I don't know. This country might be used to having anything at all named as a presidential candidate, but we haven't quite sunk yet to the professional actor stage. I said that in 1928, folks.
Would you mind telling me what political party you belong to?
Well, I'm not the member of any organized party. I'm a Democrat.
Would you ever consider running for a candidate of the Debunk Party?
Debunk?
Exactly. Mr. Rogers, you've been invited to speak at the Republican convention in Kansas City. And you've also been invited to speak at the Democratic convention in Houston.
Oh, the Democratic convention? Well, that's great. The Democrats always have more fun at their conventions because they know they're not going anywhere afterwards.
So what do you say, Mr. Rogers? Since you're the first man in history who's been invited to speak at both conventions in the same year, you can ask them directly to vote for you.
Now, have you folks ever heard anything so nonsensical in your whole lives? I mean, a man would be plumb loco to give up a useful career in, well, anything, just to go into politics.
So will you run for president or not, Mr. Rogers?
I sure will. fun party with some new ideas to float. Don't ask me what my platform is, I'll leave that stuff alone. Cause no one keeps their promises, as history has shown. I'll run a clean campaign and that will be my winning card. Considering the count you had, well, that won't be too hard.
Mr. Chairman, the great Sooner State of Oklahoma, by clean sweep, by acclamation, we proudly place a nomination. The great Sooner State of Oklahoma, cast its 22 votes, 22 votes.
William Canadair Rogers, William Canadair Rogers, William Canadair Rogers, yeah! The open truck and Democrat donkey will be down the drain and sunk. The day the people celebrated war. The spirit and spunky skeleton on the jabber and jump and day and feeding us will pay for our ignorance.
Well, any of you who bothered studying history in school might recall that I did not get elected to the President of these United States. However, I did carry one state, namely the District of Columbia, which it turns out isn't any kind of state at all, really. However, I took that as quite a personal compliment, since whoever gets elected, it's those folks who got to live with the fella for the next 4 years. Now, I got some advice for anyone who gets nominated in the future. Don't go around telling the truth. Because in an American election, nothing could hurt you more than telling the truth. I guess this is meanwhile back at the ranch. You see, Mr. Ziegfeld always likes to have these moments he calls trouble in paradise. You see, only in this case, I guess paradise was Hollywood, California. Anyway, I guess we were pretty rich by now. We had our own polo field and our little ranch house had 22 rooms. But the problem with that, because of my work, I wasn't getting to spend as much time with my family as I wanted to. So this is that scene where the leading lady sings a torch song of her troubles while sitting on top of the piano.
No, thank you, madam. Can you believe what old Ziegfeld's got me doing now? Will there be anything else, madam?
No, thank you, Hastings. Where are the children?
They're off stage, madam, awaiting their entrance visit.
Guess what, Mom? He's home!
Hello, Blake.
Hello, stranger.
What? Well, I decided it was safer to change the subject. So I spent a few moments reacquainting myself with the kids. Incidentally, a lot of you folks have been asking me, how come the kids never get any bigger? Well, I say, of course they got bigger, but to demonstrate we need another set of kids, and Mr. Ziegfeld says that for them, or enough for any show. By the way, there only ought to be 3 of them by now. Little Freddie there passed on during the diphtheria epidemic of 1920. I'm afraid you'll have to run along now there, son.
Do I have to, Pop? Uncle Clem's dead and he gets to stay at the show.
You got me there, son. All right, I guess you can stick around.
Yay!
But you're going to have to leave your mom and me alone right now so we can talk. She's mighty upset about something. There's no use pretending I don't know what it is. So go on upstairs to your rooms.
All the way up, Pop!
Oh, halfway is good enough. Now, scoot. How bad is it, Blake?
Pretty bad. The last time you were home, you couldn't remember where the bathroom was.
It's a pretty big house, Blake.
Even bigger without you in it. Will, do you realize that in the past year alone, you've turned out 4 full-length talking pictures, 52 radio shows, 365 newspaper columns, spoken at 151 banquets, and visited 19 countries on 5 continents?
I know that.
Sure, you know it. But they don't. Will, why do you keep traveling? What is it you're looking for?
People. I just can't get over them, Blake. No matter how different they look and talk, they're all just the same. Of course, there's getting to be too many of them. What I've learned is they all want exactly the same thing. 3 meals a day and a good night's sleep.
We're people too, Will. And all we want is more of you.
Does that mean you don't want all the expensive presents I bought you?
What presents?
I got 'em waiting outside. But here's a small sample. This here's the most famous amethyst in the world. I got it in Ceylon. It came off the statue of Augustus, but I figured it looked better on you.
Will, this must have cost a fortune. You shouldn't have spent so much money.
Life sure is crazy. I got my wife telling me not to spend what my pa told me I'd never make.
Will, I want you to take it back.
To Ceylon? All right.
Will Rogers, come back here. Okay, I'll keep it. But I just can't believe we're this rich.
Haven't you read the papers lately, Blake? The whole country's rich. Prosperity's around. There's never been a time in our history when so many folks have been making money. Haven't you heard what President Hoover's been telling us, Blake? 2 chickens in every pot, 2 cars in every garage, 2 mortgages on every house, and 2 hearts in 3/4 time. So let's just relax and enjoy it. And dance a little bit.
What's going on down there? What are you doing to my ship? Stop! Nothing as much as you hear me! Here, come on, take me!
Yes, Mr. Z?
What are those people doing, Peter?
I'm sorry, Mr. Z. We're shutting down.
Shutting down? I didn't order anyone to shut down.
I know, Mr. Z, but there's been a general economic collapse because of the stock market crash. There's a depression going on.
Outside, maybe, but not in here. This is a Follies, Peter. I don't allow any depression in here.
I know, Mr.
Sorry.
Mr. Ziegfeld? Mr. Ziegfeld, what about me? Mr. Ziegfeld?
Will, does that mean we're poor again?
No. Not us. A whole lot of folks, but not us.
Why not us, Will?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm in the cheering up business, and right now that business has never been better. But I don't feel right about it, Lane. And how can I face all those people who've lost everything? What can I say to them?
Will, do you remember something you said to me a long time ago? A man makes a living by what he gets. He makes a life by what he gives.
I said that.
Yes.
Whew, not so bad. What can I give them now?
What do you mean? For the past year, you've done benefits for flood relief, drought relief, famine relief. How much more can one man do?
Like the president wants me to go on the radio after a speech tonight and make people feel better about things. I don't know what to tell them.
Tell them what you've always told them, Will. The truth.
10 seconds, Mr. Rogers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard an address by the President of the United States, the Honorable Herbert Hoover. And now, at Mr. Hoover's invitation, a few words from America's favorite humorist, Mr. Will Rogers.
The president wanted me to go on the radio after his speech tonight and cheer you folks up. He must be pretty desperate if he has to ask a Democrat. The problem is, who's going to cheer me up? Because all I know is what I see in the street corners, and what I see are people without food, without homes, without jobs. There are people, American people. I hear tell that at least 16 million souls are out of work, a full third of the workforce. These people are asking for our help. They're not asking for charity, they're asking for a job. And the least that we can do is see that they have food, necessities of life. We've got the money, because there's as much money in this country as there ever was. Only fewer people have it, but it's there. The president promised this country prosperity, but up to now only a handful of men have got any. The difference between our rich and our poor grows greater every year. A man makes $1 million and he's on the front page every morning. But it never tells about the man that gave up that $1 million that he got. You can't get money without taking it from someone else. And that means that there's not a one that has anything that doesn't owe it to those people who need it now. I don't suppose that the hungriest or most unemployed man in America hasn't contributed in some way to the wealth of every millionaire in America. Anyway, it wasn't the average American that brought on this depression after all. It was those big boys themselves who thought that this financial drunk we were going through was never going to end. They overbought and overmerged and overcapitalized and over everything else, and that's the fix we're in today, people. People are starving to death. Americans, can you hear that? Here in this country with more corn and more wheat and more anything than any other country on the face of the earth, we've got people starving. No country ever had more, and no country ever had less. 10 million can buy the whole world, and 10 million can't even buy enough to eat. We hold the distinction of being the only nation in history that ever went to the poorhouse in an automobile. And so it's up to us, to every one of us that doesn't go to sleep hungry at night, see that no one else does either. You think the big boys would understand that and try to fix it, that they'd try to arrange better distribution of things. Because if they don't do that, then they're just not big boys at all. And that's all there is to say about that. Where are all the big boys? Lord, we sure could use one now. And I can't say anything more about it than that.
That ain't the sorriest looking sight I've ever seen.
The low ball.
What's the matter with you, boy? Standing there like a mope.
Hate to admit this, Pa, but I guess you were right.
Well, of course I was right. About what?
Me. People were in trouble, Pa. Real trouble, and all I ever did was tell jokes.
Those weren't jokes you were cracking, Sonny.
So you keep telling me, Pa.
I don't know what they were. They sure made people feel better. You know, there was this old fella back at the ranch, an Indian, of course. And he used to say that the smartest people in the world were the ones who answered the questions that the rest of us weren't smart enough to ask. I figured that's sort of what you've been doing.
What good did it do?
I don't know, son. Maybe none at all.
You always did tell me. I do have to believe things different from the way I found them.
I know what I said, boy, but there's something I've learned from where I stand now. It takes time to judge the true worth of a man. Someone who looks awful big today could turn out to be a joke in the history books. Take it from me, people are gonna forget the names of senators, judges, millionaires, even presidents. Heck, I only found out about Franklin Pierce last week. But I wouldn't be surprised if sometime down the pike they're gonna remember you.
Franklin Pierce. Was he president?
So what they say, right between Fillmore and Buchanan.
Never heard of them either.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Willie. But you're different. Because you never quit telling folks what damn fools they are. Since you're too simple to have any malice in you, you made them love every minute of it. Now I'm gonna tell you a joke, Sonny. Seems this ugly old sinner strolls up upon the pearly gates of heaven, and St. Peter says, "I'm sorry, sir, your name's not on the list." So the ugly old sinner sits back and thinks for a minute, and then he says, "But I'm Will Rogers' father." So St. Peter smiles and says, "Well, why the heck didn't you say so?" I'm saying so now, son. I'm proud. Well, aren't you gonna thank me?
For what, Pa?
For your success.
My success?
Heck yes. Proves there's a whole lot more of me inside you than both of us ever expected. Your wit and wisdom let us see all the foibles of the century. What a man, a hell of a man is my will. Just multiply me by the million. Your public numbers in the billions.
As you can say in Papa, oh, it's all to you.
He's welcome at the White House. Will sure gets around. He talks up everywhere and tells us what's what. A movie star, sing up songs louder than heart.
Let's go fly, Will.
That you, Wiley?
So long, Willie. I'll be seeing you pretty soon, I expect.
What do you mean, Pa?
It's time for a fly, Will.
You talking about Alaska, Wiley?
I'm afraid so.
Not now, Wiley. I'm not ready.
No one ever is.
But I've still got so much more that I want to do.
Don't fight it, Willie.
Say goodbye, Will. I'll be waiting for you in the field.
I don't know why we're afraid to go. Maybe it's because we're scared that we haven't done anything. That we'll live on after we're gone.
Will, you have to go.
I guess so.
Why?
Because I win.
Will Rogers, if anything happens to you, if you get yourself killed,
What'll you do, Blake?
I'll never speak to you again. Without you, I'm a nameless face. Without you, I'm the lowest run. Without you, lost in no man's land. Without you, I'm a song unsung.
Oh, We just taken off from the lagoon in Alaska when I noticed that the plane wasn't doing exactly what Wiley had promised me. Namely, fly. We're going down, Wiley, I remarked as casual as possible under the circumstances. Heck with, says Wiley. Nobody stays up forever. Old Wiley was right alive at the time. Anyway, we were heading straight down, and the law of gravity being the only law that human beings haven't yet broke, Wiley and I decided to go right along with it. They must have been pretty hard up for weekend news, which would explain why they made such a big fuss over us. We got 4 pages on Saturday and another 4 on Sunday, which put us right up there with the other big crash. The one on Wall Street, pretty good for a one-eyed flyer and a half-breed rope spinner.
The accident occurred on August 15, 1935, 300 miles north of the Arctic Circle near Point Barrow, Alaska.
Colonel Charles A. Lindbergh took personal charge of bringing the bodies home.
Lucky Lindy had been a particular favorite of mine. He was the first man to prove that you could get the entire front page of the New York Daily News without murdering anybody.
On August 22nd, the last rites were held in Los Angeles, California.
50,000 people crowded by the casket.
President and Mrs. Roosevelt sent an expression of grief.
A funeral's a funny thing when you stop and think about it. It's a chance for folks to say all kind of nice things about you that they didn't want you to hear when you were alive.
He was over 55 years old.
You gotta look at the pride side. I mean, prolonged life has ruined more reputations than it ever made.
In Washington, both houses of Congress held a minute of silence.
Well, a minute may not sound like much until you figure out whose mouth is being shut.
Flags throughout the country floated half-mast.
The nation's motion picture theaters went dark.
Both NBC and CBS went off the air for a full half hour.
The media of radio, motion pictures, and newspaper syndication, Will Rogers reached more people around the world than anyone in history beforehand.
And because most of those gadgets didn't come along until I did. I'm kind of glad I missed television, though. I'd have hated cheating people out of reading a good book.
In New York, a squadron of airplanes from the Army Air Corps flew in formation over the city.
Each plane towed a long black streamer behind it.
I loved airplanes. Ever since I was little, I never missed a chance to ride in one. I could never get my paw to go up, though the lady always used to say, if God had meant for us to fly, it wouldn't have made the ground so hard.
Will Rogers traveled to 6 continents and met almost every king and head of state on the earth.
Not since Abraham Lincoln had the death of an American touched so many people.
He told us the truth and made us laugh at it.
People are always asking me what it was like, being married to a national monument. But of course, I never saw him that way. After all, national monuments do not kiss back. When he was in Washington, he stayed in the White House. When he was home, he was the best husband in the world.
You know, ever since I went out to Hollywood, I've been something of a curiosity. I mean, I was the only screen actor that ever ended up with the first wife I started out with. The reason for that is simple. Not a moment has gone by since I've met Betty Blake that I haven't loved her with all my heart. Now, I know I wasn't easy to be married to. Betty always used to say that her only competition was everybody else in the world, but I always used to tell her she didn't have to worry. I didn't love everyone else in the world. I merely liked them. Now, I'm sure I met a whole lot of people in my lifetime, and I always tried to approach them the same way my Indian ancestors would. You see, an Indian looks back on something after he passes it, so he gets both points of view. White man don't do that. He just assumes that all points of view are exactly the same. And that's why you must never judge a man while you face him. You've got to kind of go back behind him. Look at what he's looking at. Go back and face him again, and you'll have a whole new idea about who he is. Be surprised how easy it is to get along with everybody. Never met a man I didn't like. Like a little gent, oh, Bowery bum. Yes, I've come along way down the pipe. Never met a man I shook a hand I didn't like. Royal Prince of Wales, oh, working Joe, though I know life's one long rocky hike. Never met a man I didn't like. In all of my wandering, I bumped into all kinds of people. Fancy cinema stars, fake evangelists, politicians, morticians, and I have reached the conclusion while hacking the pine. Yes, I'll say till I'm done. No, I never met one that I didn't like. I said I've roamed along the Napa Valley, Sugar Valley, Rue de la Palme. No, Oklahoma and Kalamazoo. And I have reached the conclusion while hacking the pine. Yes, I'll say till I'm done. No, I never met one that I didn't like. Met the worst and met the best. Some that put me to the test and almost made me change my mind. And yet somehow I'll always find if you don't expect too much, there's a certain human touch. Homo sapiens has got, other animals have not. Try the shoes on that are his, it what makes him what he is, what it's like inside his skin, living in the skin he's in. Just like me, a lump of sod, there before the grace of God. That is the philosophy of this part-time Cherokee, President and King. Oh, that and mine, folks in that I can't give up hope. Spun my rope a long way down a pike. Never met a man I didn't like. I confess, bounty bumpers away, working Joe, and Cherokee, I didn't like.
Each family hopes to make its step work. So